I'm John Crichton, the Brick Row Bookshop, San Francisco, California. I've been an antiquarian bookseller since 1983 when I first heard about Rare Book School, when a gentleman named Terry Ballinger walked into my bookshop. I see Rare Book School as a kind of bibliographic, bibliophilic, cultural think tank, an intellectual endeavor in the form of an educational institute that strives to preserve and enhance our understanding of the history of books and print culture. And it does so effectively in an era when those kinds of studies and education have been largely abandoned by academia and the bookselling world. So Rare Book School really fills a void that created by that abandonment, and in so doing is performing an essential task in the world of books, and one that to me is very impressive. Also, Rare Book School is the intellectual energy that it creates is impressive as well. You see it on the faces of the students at the closing reception. The energy in the room, they seem excited about what they've been through for the past week, and they take that enthusiasm with them when they go. And I hear it sometimes years later when you mention Rare Book School, there's someone who went to class here 10 years ago, there's this light bulb turns on. Rare Book School has grown maybe twofold since I've been involved with it for going on 12 years. And as a part of that growth, it has broadened much more so than 10, 15 years ago, its mission, and diversified its course offerings in a way that it's really become more of an international, sort of a global institute that advances everyone's awareness of that cultural heritage which we share. Well, Rare Book School plays an essential role in my world of antiquarian bookselling by fostering relationships through education among booksellers, librarians, collectors, and scholars in an educational setting of these people from around the world in a way that has enriched all of our lives, and certainly has enriched my life as an antiquarian bookseller. Bill Bice, like Terry Ballinger, walked into my bookshop one day in San Francisco, I guess 30 years ago, more, with his wife, Stuart. And we immediately became friends. We had a connection to the South. Bill's in North Carolina. I was originally from Tennessee. And we got along very well and became friends. He was a collector customer, but we became friends, and I would visit with him when I was in New York. And we began getting involved in similar organizations. So when Bill was in San Francisco, I'd take him to the Book Club of California or to the Roxborough Club. And when then Bill told me about his involvement with Rare Book School, and some years later he called and said, "John, would you like to be on the board of Rare Book School?" And of course, I snapped at that. Right away, I snapped it up. It was a great honor to be asked. When I first went into the antiquarian book business in 1983, I was subscribing to the papers of the Bibliographical Society of America, and it's the first issue came that year, the 1983. It might have been the January 1984 issue, and there was an article by a fellow named Marcus McCorson. And Marcus McCorson was the outgoing president of the BSA, and he gave the annual address, and he talked about the dark clouds ahead for the humanities and for bibliography, and how we've got to look at this and really be concerned. And I read about half of this, and it kind of depressed me. I said, well, I'm just getting into this business, and this guy says it's going to become much more difficult, but he was right. And things have, the humanities, the concentration on them has shrunk in the past decades, and Marcus McCorson saw it perfectly, and he saw it and described it to the people out there in the audience at the Bibliographical Society at their annual meeting. The same year, Rare Book School was being founded. Rare Book School was being founded up the street at Columbia University. So, there's a connection. One thing goes down. Rare Book School has really taken the place of a lot of other institutions and traditions that existed and were so important to so many people. So that's always struck me, and it struck me about other organizations as well. The book arts groups really didn't exist in the early 1980s. They came along as that different side of that world was also shrinking, and they're providing an education and a place for people to come, a kind of synergy, that makes that world still thrive and exist. I was always interested in antiquarian things as a child, and we had a house full of books. We even had a book room. a sort of a library. My mother was a big reader, my grandmother was a big reader, and I got interested in things old, just older things. And I would go, there was a used bookshop in town I would go to and sort of look at these books and marvel at them. I go, what's the difference between this one and that one? Well, that's a bibliographical inquiry by a 10-year-old who on his bicycle, you know. So little did I know, but I majored in journalism in college, and I failed at that. But at the course of being there, right across from the journalism school at the University of Kansas was this thing called the Spencer Library. And I wandered in there one day and I started looking around, realizing that this world of rare books and rare materials was possibly open to me, although these places were a little scary. And then as I developed that more and more, as my journalism career shrunk, I became involved in a lot of bookstores in the Bay Area and just hanging around them and talking to them. And I eventually got a job as a bookkeeper at Serendipity Books in Berkeley, California. And then 3 years later, I bought the business I have now. I've been a lucky path. And it's served me well. It really has been a great career and served me well. It's brought me to places like this, to Rare Book School.